from two different projects. So
right, that's what I'm saying.
It just didn't never mix, and
right.
me and his relationship never mixed.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Maybe the artists, but we didn't with each other.
What was Cash Money doing when P and No Limit was popping off?
I never knew him of no streets.
Not in the streets.
Nah, I kind of knew him because he played basketball. Then they left and came back. I ain't understand it. Went to Pride. They flies to California. Then Slim, they come in there and said, "Man, I'm sorry, we can't do the deal." He said, because Master P said, if we sign y'all, he leave. Cash Money, No Limit, that was real.
Yeah,
you know, they ain't with us. We ain't
Calio Magnolia Project.
Nah, that's real. Went to Pride. They flies to California. Then Slim, they come in there and said, "Man, I'm sorry, we can't do the deal." He said, because Master P said, if we sign y'all, he leave.
Ask Master P or Birdman if they ever had real beef, and both will swear up and down it was all love. But anyone who knows New Orleans street history can tell you there was way more going on behind the curtain. For years, people been whispering that this tension didn't just stay in the booth. It might have spilled into something deadly. Master P came up in the Calliope projects while Birdman repped Magnolia, and those two hoods.
I could have brought Cash Money back in the days, you know, but they was from another side of New Orleans. I'm from another side, so it never really worked.
They never saw eye to eye. Once you throw Birdman's brother, Terrence Gangster Williams, into the mix, a dude tied to some serious street business, the whole thing starts looking way messier than they ever let on. Word on the block says Birdman and Slim were even using their own brother as muscle. And guess who might have been on that hit list? Master P's own cousin. When P's cousin got taken out, folks say he was torn apart so much that he allegedly put a bounty on Gangster's head to even the score. That's when the whispers turned into full-blown chaos. Everyone in the city was buzzing, trying to piece together just how deep this feud really ran. So how far did things actually go? Let's rewind for a sec. Back to the early and mid-1990s, when both Master P and Birdman were hustling like their next meal depended on it.
In the state, you confessed to killing how many people?
40.
What? You confessed to killing 40 people in the state?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Two powerhouse labels were rising from the dirt, ready to change the entire sound of hip-hop forever. They weren't just putting New Orleans on the map, they were rewriting the entire playbook of the rap game. Master P kicked off his grind with No Limit Records back in 1991, and at first, it wasn't even a label. It was just a small record store he opened in Richmond, California, right after losing his brother. But even then, P was thinking big. That little shop didn't stay small for long. P flipped it into a full-blown independent label, then brought the whole movement back home to New Orleans, and that's when things got wild.
Ghetto dope. Ghetto dope.
Once he touched down, it wasn't just a comeback, it was a takeover. By the mid-90s, No Limit had transformed into a straight-up Southern empire. Master P locked in a groundbreaking distribution deal with Priority Records, a deal so crazy it gave him an unheard-of 85-15 profit split in his favor. That kind of power meant P could drop music faster than anyone had ever seen. This move didn't just shake the rap world, it rewired it forever. Master P wasn't just releasing albums, he was flooding the streets non-stop. Every few weeks, boom, a brand new project hit the shelves, and the No Limit roster stacked like an all-star team. You had his brother C Murder and Silk the Shocker repping the family name, and Mia X stepping in like the queen of the whole squad. The industry had never seen anything move with that kind of force before. Mystical came through with that wild, unpredictable energy that nobody else could match.
Some bad game, this fat game, make it water spin his cash, his last share, girl.
And then you had Magnolia's own Soldier Slim, back when he was still going by Magnolia Slim, repping his hood with raw pride and that classic street grit. No Limit wasn't just a label anymore. It was a full-blown machine rolling through the industry with unstoppable momentum. Every drop came stamped with that bold tank logo and those flashy over-the-top pen and pixel covers that screamed for attention. Each album looked like pure gold and felt like a flex in itself. Their whole image wasn't just smart marketing, it was legendary. The military vibe, the No Limit Soldier's chants, Master P's constant talk about ownership, loyalty, and independence, it all hit the streets like a message people needed to hear. And the timing? perfect. By 1998, No Limit was unstoppable, dropping an unbelievable 23 albums in just 1 year. That's domination on a whole new level. You couldn't walk into a record store, flip through a music magazine, or turn on BET without seeing another No Limit release staring back at you. Master P's Ghetto D went triple platinum, and by the end of the decade, No Limit had moved over 75 million records worldwide. This wasn't just a label, it was a cultural explosion that blasted Southern rap straight into the mainstream. Meanwhile, across the city, Birdman and his brother Slim were plotting their own empire, building up Cash Money Records to go toe-to-toe with No Limit's reign. Things were about to get even more intense. Cash Money kicked off in 1991 too, but at first they were keeping things underground straight for the streets. In the early 90s, the label was putting out raw, gritty records from local acts like UNLV, Pimp Daddy, and a young Lil Wayne, who was still teamed up with BG in their duo, the BGs.
Prior, they flies to California, then Slim would come in there and said, "Man, I'm sorry, we can't do the deal." He said, because Master P said, if we sign y'all, he leave.
Back then, Cash Money was all about New Orleans. It was a hometown movement through and through. Their tapes were moving heavy around Louisiana, flying off shelves and out of car trunks, but the rest of the country hadn't caught the wave yet. While No Limit was flooding the charts and dominating the mainstream, Cash Money was quietly stacking ammo, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And then, boom, 1998 hit, and everything flipped overnight. Birdman and Slim shocked the entire industry when they locked down a $30 million distribution deal with Universal Records. That move was unheard of at the time, one of the biggest deals hip-hop had ever seen. Out of that deal came a new generation of New Orleans stars. The Hot Boys, Juvenile, BG, Turk, and a young Lil Wayne came through blazing, turning Cash Money into the new heartbeat of the city. And that was just the beginning. Once the big timers, Birdman and the production genius Manny Fresh, stepped into the spotlight, Cash Money's momentum went through the roof. Juvenile's 400 Degrees dropped that same year and exploded. The album went 4 times platinum, and suddenly the Magnolia Projects were on the map like never before. With Back That Thing Up taking over clubs, parties, and radio everywhere, it wasn't just a hit, it became a full-blown anthem that defined an era. The Magnolia finally had superstars who could go bar for bar and hit for hit with anyone coming out of Calliope. But what really set Cash Money apart was their sound. No Limit had that raw, brass-heavy, street marching energy, straight out the trenches. Cash Money, though?
We just don't get on together. We don't get on. Like, I don't fake it with people. If I don't know you, I ain't hang out with you. I don't do that. Everywhere I got out, shout out to Cash Money, man, for doing what they got to do. I respect that they come from my hood. I want to see them win. I want to see them eat.
They tapped into the heart of the city's bounce scene and mixed it with pure hustle energy. Manny Fresh was the secret weapon. He cooked up beats that were funky, melodic, and straight addictive. Tracks that made people move before they even realized it. And the artists, they carried that slick hustler confidence. Flashy, charming, always talking big, but with enough charisma to make you believe every word. They weren't just rapping about success. They looked like it. They lived it. By 1999, Cash Money wasn't just hot, they were everywhere. Bling Bling didn't just top the charts, it became everyday slang across the country. Suddenly, everyone from New Orleans to New York was talking that Cash Money talk. For a brief moment in the late 90s, No Limit and Cash Money ruled hip-hop side by side. 2 Southern giants holding down the entire game. You couldn't talk about rap, whether mainstream or underground, without one of those names coming up. New Orleans had birthed 2 kings at the same time, each with their own army, their own sound, and their own playbook for success. But then came early 99, and things started getting tense. Fans were picking sides, and debates were breaking out everywhere. Was it No Limit or Cash Money? For years, Master P's camp had worn the crown, dominating with non-stop releases, that loud tank branding, and massive mainstream shine. But by 1999, Cash Money came swinging like they had something to prove, and people felt that shift instantly. The streets were buzzing, the industry was watching, and both camps were about to show the world who really ran New Orleans. On the surface, it didn't look like a beef at all. No diss tracks, no messy interviews, no shady encounters at shows. Master P and Birdman both kept it squeaky clean whenever the cameras were rolling, but people close to the streets knew the truth. Behind closed doors, the tension was real. Folks who were actually around during that time swear it wasn't all smiles and handshakes. Thing is, the friction wasn't really between the artists themselves. Most of them had grown up around one another, crossing paths in the New Orleans scene long before fame hit. Turk from Cash Money even admitted it straight up. I wouldn't say the artists didn't get along. I'd say probably P and Baby. That one line says it all. The soldiers were cool, but the bosses, they were playing their own quiet game of war.
P, it was a rumor that it started from $15,000 to $30,000 to $100,000 hit on.
This wasn't a loud public beef, it was a silent chess match between two generals. Every move felt strategic, every decision seemed aimed at one up and the other without ever saying a word. The first spark reportedly came from a business situation that went sideways, or depending on who's talking, got blocked. Back in the mid-1990s, both No Limit and Cash Money were hustling hard, trying to secure major distribution deals to take their empires global. Master P struck gold first, locking down that legendary deal with Priority Records. So naturally, Birdman and Slim rolled up to Priority too, hoping to secure their own shot. But according to Birdman, that meeting was over before it even started. He claims Master P allegedly told Priority straight up that he'd walk away from his deal if they even thought about signing Cash Money. That power move shut things down instantly, and from that moment on, the quiet rivalry between P and Birdman was officially locked in. Cash Money eventually bounced back strong with that massive $30 million Universal deal, and that move flipped their whole future overnight. But let's be real, nobody forgets getting blocked like that. For a lot of fans, that moment explained why the tension between the two camps always felt personal. It seemed like Master P was guarding his turf heavy, making sure Cash Money couldn't climb using the same ladder he built. And that wasn't the only time people started side-eyeing P's moves. In 2000, he dropped a straight-to-video action flick called Hot Boys. Now, this movie had zero connection to Birdman's group, the Hot Boys, but the timing? Way too perfect. The Hot Boys were at the top of the game. Juvenile, BG, Turk, and Lil Wayne had the name buzzing everywhere. And suddenly P drops a movie with the exact same title. Fans couldn't help but raise their eyebrows like, oh, come on, that can't be random.
Icing it up while my little BG's on the bus putting out cigarette butts.
Was it a diss or just business? Nobody really knew. But either way, it threw more gas on the quiet rivalry already bubbling between the two powerhouses. Even if it wasn't a direct shot, the move definitely had the streets talking loud. People saw that Hot Boys movie title and immediately felt like it was a slick jab, or maybe just a smart, slightly petty way for Master P to tap into the wave Cash Money had created. And just when folks were still debating that play, P came right back with another move, the 504 Boys. That name, lifted straight from New Orleans' own area code, had everyone talking again. Fans couldn't help but wonder if Master P was sending another subtle message, letting the city and Birdman know he still ran things his way. It started looking like No Limit was rolling out their own version of the Hot Boys, just rebranded with a different name. It wasn't an open diss, but the timing, the sound, and the energy all felt way too lined up to be a coincidence. Then came the rumor that really turned the city upside down. Word in late 90s music circles was that Master P was making quiet moves behind the scenes, trying to scoop up some of Cash Money's rising stars. Then Turk later admitted that back in the day, there were whispers floating around that Master P tried to sign both him and a young Lil Wayne to No Limit. Now, P never confirmed that story, but just the rumor alone said a lot. Even the idea of it showed how fierce the competition between those two camps really was. Imagine it, two of Cash Money's key players flipping sides to join P's empire? That would have been a power move of epic proportions. From Birdman's point of view, that kind of talk would have made things way more personal. And fast forward years later, in 2015, when Lil Wayne was locked in label drama and money disputes, Master P swooped in again like he'd been waiting for the perfect moment. He dropped a collab with Wayne called Power, and fans instantly picked up on the deeper message. On paper, it looked like two Southern legends linking up for the culture, but everyone paying close attention knew there was something more to it. It felt like Master P was sliding right into Cash Money's internal problems, showing public support for Wayne, while Birdman was already taking heat from his own team in the media. That move had to sting, even if nobody ever said it out loud. But here's what made the whole thing even wilder. Despite all the low-key jabs, quiet business plays, and slick timing, both Master P and Birdman stayed smooth whenever the cameras were rolling. No diss tracks, no messy interviews, no wild back and forths. They kept everything polished and professional, like real bosses. Still, the streets were telling a totally different story. Behind that clean image, everyone knew there was a quiet war being played out between two moguls, each one trying to prove who really built the foundation of New Orleans hip-hop.
You mentioned that there was that Wayne was considering signing to No Limit.
Yeah, we both consider signing to
The respect was there, no doubt, but so was the tension, and it never really disappeared. The real tension between these camps ran way deeper than music. It stretched all the way down to the streets they came from. Master P grew up in the Calliope projects, while Birdman and the whole Cash Money circle came straight out of Magnolia. And anybody who knows New Orleans history knows those two neighborhoods weren't just separated by blocks. They were divided by decades of bad blood. These weren't regular neighborhoods. At times, they felt like battle zones with years of conflicts piled up between them. So when both No Limit and Cash Money started blowing up in the late 90s, that neighborhood energy didn't die down, it intensified. People who lived through that era swear the street tension leaked straight into the rap scene, turning music into another extension of those rival corners. One person from NOLA put it plain and simple. There was beef between Magnolia and Calliope, and sadly, this wasn't just neighborhood talk. Things got real, violence did happen. Folks connected to both sides, whether through family ties or simple association, ended up losing their lives during that period. And every time the street side of Cash Money gets mentioned, one name always comes up: Terrence "Gangsta" Williams. Birdman's half-brother. Terrence wasn't just another dude from Magnolia. He carried a serious reputation in the city. People said he was connected to heavy street activity and was one of the key figures in the original Hot Boys crew, long before the rap group ever took that name. While Birdman and Slim were focused on building Cash Money into a powerhouse, Terrence was still deep in the trenches, and that's where things took a much darker turn. In the late 90s, tragedy struck when Master P's cousin, Randall Watts, was killed in New Orleans. The city immediately started buzzing, and one name kept surfacing in the whispers: Terrence "Gangsta" Williams. That rumor alone sent shockwaves through NOLA, tightening the already dangerous tension between the Calliope and Magnolia sides. What had started as a quiet competition between two music empires now carried a chilling edge. Streets were talking, families were hurting, and even though no one confirmed the whispers, the air around both camps got heavier by the day. The feud wasn't just business anymore, it was personal, and the city could feel it. People inside Master P's circle were convinced that Terrence "Gangsta" Williams had something to do with Randall Watts' tragic death, and that belief lit a serious fire in the streets. According to Terrence himself, word got around that Master P was so sure of his involvement that he allegedly put a bounty on his head. At first, the number being whispered around the neighborhoods was about $15,000, but like most street talk, it didn't stay small for long.
Did you and Master P ever have a conversation or work things out, or?
No, never.
Soon the story grew, and people were saying the price had jumped all the way to $100,000 for Terrence's life. It became one of those stories that everybody heard about, but nobody could prove. Terrence has always denied any role in Randall's death, and in a 2024 interview, he doubled down on that, calling the whole situation a massive misunderstanding. He even claimed he once spoke briefly with someone from P's own family, who supposedly told him that Master P really did want some form of payback after losing Randall, but Terrence also said he never had the chance to talk to P directly to clear things up, so that tension just lingered for decades. At this point, whether the full truth will ever come out is anybody's guess. But one thing's for sure, the tension running behind the scenes was heavy, and it wasn't all one-sided either. People close to both No Limit and Cash Money say the problems between them were messy, emotional, and way more personal than the public ever knew. A lot of the details from back then are still foggy, but the whispers, they were loud. Folks in the neighborhoods talked like people tied to each camp were being targeted or hurt, supposedly in retaliation or as part of the bigger power struggle surrounding both labels. One story that spread through the city claims somebody connected to Cash Money had a role in the death of someone close to Master P. The name being floated? A well-known street figure allegedly tied to the label. People said he might have been involved in the loss of P's brother, but when you look at the actual reports, that rumor doesn't line up at all. Master P's brother, Kevin Miller, tragically lost his life during a robbery gone wrong, not from any organized hit connected to music or label beef. Still, the streets twisted that story into something bigger. And on the flip side, another rumor popped up claiming that someone connected to No Limit was behind the death of one of Birdman's sisters, but that one was off the mark too. It was clear that by this point, the rumors had taken on a life of their own. The line between street reality and industry gossip was completely blurred, and every new story added another layer of mystery to a feud that was already too deep for comfort. Even if none of those darker rumors checked out, they fueled an atmosphere of distrust and danger that hung over both camps for years. None of Birdman's sisters ever lost their lives to street violence. One of them sadly passed away in a car accident back in 2006, which had absolutely nothing to do with any label conflict or neighborhood drama. Still, the fact fact that those kinds of stories spread like wildfire shows just how charged the atmosphere was back then. The streets were tense, the music scene was booming, and even the smallest rumor could blow up into something huge overnight. Even when the truth didn't match the talk, the fear and suspicion were very real. It showed just how deep this quiet rivalry between No Limit and Cash Money really ran. The competition wasn't just about record sales, it was pride, loyalty, and the kind of history that stretched way beyond music. And if you're looking for a story that's actually documented, not just built on street whispers, there's one that stands out clear as day: the early clash between No Limit's Mystical and Cash Money's Yellow Boy from UNLV. That situation was real, public, and gave everyone a glimpse of how personal things could get when New Orleans' two biggest empires crossed paths. This chapter of hip-hop history is wild, deep, and still talked about to this day. If you want to see more stories like this, packed with truth, drama, and the untold details behind the culture, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment with your thoughts. Let's keep this story alive.